What's up, guys? Welcome back for another solo Omega. Been just kind of messing around with this Vargur for the past few days. Kind of just hanging out, testing it out. Definitely something to get used to as far as coming off the golem for so long. I think it feels like it clears faster just because of you don't have to wait for flight time for the most part. Right now I'm on a haven, just kind of chilling out. Fall off right now, I got some implants in too, but fall off is about 72 kilometers bastioned up, so we're kind of just out here on the back side of the rock, just kind of chilling to where we came in at like 30. You don't really want to go zero on this. You can get you can bounce off some stuff, and also just that's where people are going to catch you at. So tracking script. I mean, I don't even run optimal script. I carry it, but I'm just kind of using the tracking script a little bit. Helps a little bit with the they're not really moving a whole lot, and since I'm 30 out, they had to like come in towards me, but we might have some difficulty with these frigates once they get close enough, but we need to try to get these frigates down before they get too close to me. What we'll do is let's get the ones that are at 17, because they're still probably coming in a straight line at me. Yeah. That's the beauty of the tracking right there. When they start orbiting you like this, makes it really difficult. But what we're going to do is we're going to micro jump drive. We're going to micro jump drive, and then we're just going to they're going to start coming right at us again, and then we'll be able to just hit them easy. Bastion up. They're going to have to come in a little bit, so we'll do a reload. Burn in, get ourselves turned around. This one will be in range first. That's what the trick is. Like if you're doing any sort of like sniping with railguns or with these large projectile turrets, anything that has like really, you know, bad tracking, you want those rats or, you know, players or whatever, do you want them to have to chase you and come straight at you because they have no traversal. This is why I've actually been running a prop mod plus a micro jump drive for the most part, is just so I can have the ability to kind of move around a little bit. Because with missiles, you don't have to really worry about the tracking, right? You just have to worry about kind of being within range. Normally, you can just get them. I would just get them with the drones, but I'm kind of just messing around tonight. All right, bashing up. They're about range. Boom. Delete. That puts everybody else on the spawn a little far out. But we're going to want to take the frigates down first, just so we don't have to run into that problem again. I really should repair this ship. I've been sitting at like 98 armor for a minute. I always forget. Yeah, these guys are gonna close pretty fast. You see, we probably go 2 and 2. Honestly, since they're just right in front of our guns. As far as everything else is going, everything's progressing pretty well. I mean, the Solo Omega series has always been kind of just about, you know, wealth generation, and you know, I came out of null that we were doing last month. Still kind of messing around in null for the most part, but not nearly to the extent that we were before. I pushed pretty hard last month as far as income goes, so I've been kind of chilling, doing some market stuff. But like I said in the last episode, it's going to be a lot about trying new ships. So this week I'm messing around with the Vargur, and then I'm thinking next week probably Paladin. I'm going to try to get through all of the Marauders and probably all of the tactical destroyers, and then probably play around with the rest of the strategic cruisers. So I'll probably finish all the Marauders and probably go Loki, take a Loki around for a little while. As far as the clear times, like if I was going to compare the Golem to the Vargur, I would say, like I said, their clear times are pretty close. The Vargur feels like it's faster just because, you don't have to wait for flight time. But I'd say in some cases, like maybe like with frigates, especially like frigates on the Havens and like the last, 2 waves of the Sanctum, the Vargur kind of speeds through those a little bit quicker. As long as you have kind of that range and they're coming like right at you. The Golem has to have the drones to kind of help with the frigates for the most part. That's really kind of what slows the Golem down, is just the fact that frigates are just harder to hit with those rockets. But I'd say if you were just trying to like spam like Havens or Sanctums and you're trying to get as much ISK in the tick as you possibly could, Vargur would probably be the better option just because of all the frigates. But if like for a 8 of 10, I haven't even done an 8 of 10. I'm going to try, actually what I should do actually, I should actually farm hubs, see if I can get an 8 of 10 and take the Vargur in and see how it does. I'm a little more cap stable with the Golem, but also on the Golem I don't run a micro warp drive and a prop mod. So that's kind of a new thing I'm kind of doing right now. But like Havens, Vargur is going to be faster than the Golem just because there's frigates on every single wave. I left my prop mod on. You guys supposed to tell me. You can't let me keep my prop mod on while I'm bastioned. That makes no sense. It happens more times than I'd care to admit, honestly. This battleship needs to go down though. I'm gonna actually see what we can do. I'm gonna put one launcher on each of these frigates and see what happens. It should. They're still far enough away that it should work out like I want it to. There we go. Goodbye, frigates. I'm really just kind of set in my ways as far as when it comes to ratting. I mean, I do, all these different ships that I'm running, and I'm gonna run the same stuff with them, because it's tried and true as far as ISK goes and everything. That shield boost is doing work. This is not even the Gist X extra large. This is just Pith X large. The Golem, I splurge on the Golem. I'll run that Gist X extra large. It just allows me to just, I can go all the way to 50% shield and just go all the way back up. Come on. Reload me. I always like waiting for them all to get done before I re-engage. It's kind of a weird habit. I figured I'd give you guys an update. I did the fit video for this. Been kind of like messing around with it a little bit. I might try to, do like a short or something showing the clear through a Pith penal complex or something in the next few days. Because that's one thing I still haven't done with the Vargur before we actually kind of move on. I think the next Marauder we're going to do is the Paladin. If I had to tear everything off, I've had a lot of experience with missiles. And then the next one down would be like the projectile weapons. But as far as like hybrid and energy and all that stuff, very little experience. So it's going to be a lot of new territory for me, which is exciting, right? Because even though I'm kind of set in my ways, I like to do 8 of 10, 6 of 10, 7 of 10s, you know, sanctums, havens, ports, and stuff like that. You know, breaking off and like doing like, you know, different types of ships with those is great. Like I usually run ports and stuff when I'm, you know, feeling lazy with the Tengu, but it's gonna be interesting to actually take a Loki into it and just kind of, you know, experience how that feels and everything. Which is kind of the point, because you don't want to get stuck in a rut. There's way too much stuff to do in Eve to be stuck in a rut. And I'm really bad about it too. You know, why fix what's not broken, right? That's one of my big things is I looked around for a long time, like, you know, what was it, early last year, I guess, or year before. Looked around a lot. I was like, you know, what's the best all as close to all-in-one like ship I can just do all these different things with. And it really, I trained into the Tengu first because it would allow me to do like scanning, and then, you know, some of the medium, you know, some of the lower end rat sites and null, and then I wanted to start doing the higher end DED sites, and so that just ended up pointing me towards the Golem. Once I trained the Golem, then I felt pretty good about the situation. I'm really fortunate too to actually have max Tengu and max Golem skills, and then also max like covert op scanning. So in terms of everything you guys saw me do in December, having all of that kind of available to me and allowed me to make that much ISK was really nice. Obviously it took a long time and a lot of just staring at the skill queue and just wondering if these big skills were ever going to get done, but it paid off, right? Because I used to be like kind of, I guess, everybody else. I would just have like a bunch of ships, you know, just kind of like ship collecting for the most part. But over the past 12 months or so, I've really just kind of wanted to get as few assets as possible. I really just started to try to focus down on purpose-built ships and things that could do multiple different things. So that's kind of where I landed, was with the Crane, and then the Golem and the Tengu. And then I think the newest addition to that was the Buzzard, because it was just faster. It was faster at just doing the data relic sites, like going from node to node, because it just moves quicker. And it also allowed me to do the covert op sites with greater success, even though the Tengu can technically tank the covert site if you fail one. But there towards the end of my covert sites, I would just go and, you know, I would hack that one node that was different from all the other ones and took my time, grab what was in it, and then just not worried about the other three. I have, though, on one occasion, I didn't even, like, I was kind of barely awake, but I knew it was a covered site, but in the very back of my mind. But I went there and I managed to actually successfully hack all 4 of the nodes. And then once I looted the last node, all the rats popped in. I'm like, oh crap. And that's pretty difficult to go through all those. Just because there's a lot of RNG, honestly, if I'm being completely honest, with the covert sites. Because you could just get really bad, you know, you could get really bad hack sequences. The best way to do it, honestly, is like to have 4 people. Everybody warps to location cloaked, like in a formation, where they don't decloak each other. Because once you decloak on a covert site, that's when the timer starts. And then you just gotta assign each person their own node, and they just kind of slow burn each node. And then at the same time, everybody just decloaks, and they just mine their assigned node and just get out of there. Obviously, you want to like make sure that everybody is good at hacking, because if one person fails, the whole thing just falls apart pretty quick. This clear is going to be a little bit slower than normal, just because I'm kind of half-assing it for the most part. A lot of damage on field right now, though. A lot of the damage is actually these cruisers. But we'll get all these battleships down. What are these guys worth? Like 1.2 million each. Not too bad. I just can't really stand high sec anymore. I mean, it's not so bad with the alpha, because the alpha is just doing things at a kind of a lower level than what my main can do. But I think even at a certain point, my alpha is going to end up just moving out to null or low or something. Because, and you gotta realize, when I first started playing, I was in the first 6 months that I played, I was strictly high sec because I didn't know any better. Like a lot of people don't. I mean, I got stuck in like a mining corporation, and that's all we did every day. Logged in, got in hulks or whatever, and mined every belt in a system every day, over and over and over. And obviously I didn't mine, because at that point everything was new to me. But it surprised me how, at least in the corporation I was in, they would just talk shit about people that would rat. And they would say things like, oh, they're just mad because like they takes them a long time to get ISK or whatever. But which kind of like, it always, and with hearing that, I always just assumed that like people that would rat and everything did make really good ISKs. That's why they were always just, all hateful on miners and stuff like that. But then once I started, and I didn't really do rat sites in high sec when I started. The very first rat sites I did were in null sec. I essentially was in drone lands, put together an Ishtar, and just started running those. And once I figured out that like where to get the loot and where the commanders were and how good DED sites were, it just everything just kind of unlocked for me. It sucks learning it that late in the game, but because even when I was in high sec, when we weren't mining or something, I would go out and mess with the rat sites there in high sec, and the bounties were pretty bad. And I think a lot of this advice that people were telling me, these were people that just never got out of high sec themselves. So they thought that the bounty payout and the loot and all those things that were coming out of combat anomalies in high sec, that was the apex of ratting. But luckily enough, I gained perspective and diversified my activities, which is by far the most important thing. I don't have anything against people that just like do nothing but mine or do nothing but rad or PvP. It's just, I think for my enjoyment in the game, I would 100% just recommend people to just do a lot of things, because it just breaks up the monotony for the most part. There's days where I'll go like hardcore ratting for like a week, and then I'll just not want to touch it at all and do exploration or something like that. So I think it's only natural. Being able to do that is really good. It's very hard to do that when you start playing though, because you kind of go down a path, you pick a path early, whether it be ratting, exploration, mining, and you kind of pour everything into that one like career, and that's where the best ISK that you have skills for comes from. And then once you kind of break past that barrier and you start putting skills into like ratting or exploration, you're able to do a lot of different things. It's when everything kind of opens up for you. So there's definitely like a plateau. There's definitely a moment in EVE, at least for me, when it's like, okay, the best thing I can do is mine, and my ratting skills aren't where they need to be successful with that. So it's like kind of a plateau that I had to just kind of work through. I think any advice I can give to a new player would be just have a plan, try to focus the skill queue, because when I first started playing, like every day I would get in there and just stare at my skill queue. I'd reorder it and resort it and change my mind about which ship, and then eventually I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna figure out something that I want to fly, put the skills in, and just not stare at my skill queue every day, not micromanage it. And that's really important, is just let that stuff train. I could have probably gotten into ratting a lot sooner if I would just had stopped messing with my skill queue, essentially. Anyway, I figured I'd give you guys an update. So, and I owed you guys a solo Omega episode, so you got to see me do a little bit more with the Vargur here and kind of see where I'm at with everything for the most part. Cool little ship though. This will probably be the last time you'll see it for a while. We're gonna try to get into one of the other Marauders. Probably tomorrow. Probably try to get the Paladin up and running tomorrow, and then start taking it around. But yep, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.